Welcome back to Streaming Media 2025 here in lovely Santa Monica. I'm here today with Daniel Alinder from Vindral. Daniel, for those who don't know, what is Vindral?
Vindral is a Swedish company. Mm-hmm. We have several products, but for streaming specifically, we have a product called Vindral Live.
Okay.
Focused on doing live streaming synchronized to all viewers.
Okay.
So that's our main proposition. We started out in the ultra low latency space.
Right.
10 years ago, when ultra low latency was a buzzword, we don't only do ultra low latency. You can do sub-second if you want to.
Sure.
Some of our clients are running 500 milliseconds glass to glass.
Okay.
But on the topic of latency, the thing that we've focused on is making it configurable. Okay. So any one of our clients can choose if they want 3.7 seconds because that's what broadcast happens to be. So they want to sync up with that.
Okay.
Or any specific.
And that's a really good point, because one of the conversations we've had over the last couple of years in the industry is, how low do you need to go? Obviously, the assumption is the lower you go, the closer to real time you are. But the opposite conversation is, yes, but if we can't sync everything between our broadcast and our online, especially when it comes to things like sportsbook and sports betting, you sort of want everybody on the same playing field on that, as opposed to you get 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds ahead if you're doing an ultra low latency stream, which then makes all the people who are watching broadcast television upset because you know the outcome before and like that. So AV1 was one of your early pushes, and is that still part of the mix these days?
It is still part of the mix.
Okay.
It's not something that we use for all our clients, but it has gained significant traction. Okay. And especially when delivering video in regions that perhaps have poor connectivity, because you want your stream to be adaptive. You need to go to lower bit rates because of bandwidth or resilience, throughput issues basically. And AV1 does a great job of giving us better video quality, even at lower bit rates.
Okay. Now, one of the other conversations in the industry is around MoQ, or the media transport over QUIC. I hear people sort of using those interchangeably. Do you want to describe what MoQ is briefly?
Yeah, it's a big topic. Media Over QUIC, I would say, is currently an emerging standard.
Okay.
For transporting actually not only video on the internet.
Right.
For us, it means it is a bit of a shift of paradigm when it comes to transport of live video. Where actually it's not a shift of paradigm for us, because it's very, very similar to what we've always been doing.
Okay.
We used to rely on our proprietary stack to deliver with video with these performance metrics.
Right.
And when Media Over QUIC was initially discussed, our team found out, hey, this is very similar to what we're doing. Okay. We won't be using WebSockets on the last mile. We'll be using web transport, etc. Okay. So there are some things that happen depending on the flavor. So it is very much a standard in the works, but it also changed, because you mentioned a question that's very relevant. How low do we need to go?
Right.
And that question implies that you're trading something off, because if you could, you would like to go as low as possible, unless you need to sync with something that is slow.
Right.
But here, this Media Over QUIC holds promise due to a number of factors to actually change that dynamic of choosing. Do we need low latency? Well, maybe you just want it. Right. Maybe you don't have to need it for it to be viable. Okay. And that is one of the big promises there, is because it's an emerging standard that have big names behind it. As, we know Akamai is in, YouTube is in, Meta, etc. It holds promise of interoperability. Okay. And interoperability is an amazing thing.
Yes, having come out of the video conferencing space where we had baseline interoperability tests that we would run every three to 6 months and publish, the fact that we could, first of all, we had a Kodak H.264 before the streaming space had it. We had that. So we could do standardized resolutions and data rates, but also the ability to say baseline across all the endpoints, it will consistently have these particular features. On top of that, though, we could add additional features as individual companies, so Polycom, PictureTel, life size, etc. Is that sort of a similar model with MoQ where it will be sort of a baseline standard and then you can add additional features on top of it?
Likely. I mean, just looking at the standard, it handles so many more things than legacy technology does. And for example, you have a track where you can put events in the track, and you can, if you use an AI feature to track things that are happening in a basketball game or in whatever, you mark it up, and within the MoQ protocol, you actually define, well, something happened here. And then your system can create a replay. And there was one of the demos by Cinemedia at IBC, which is amazing to see. So they use MoQ fetch to go back to that highlight in the game, which makes it more interactive in a way.
Okay.
I mean, low latency is also a prerequisite for interactivity and for people to interact around a content. Just a simple thing as adding reactions or a chat. You need people to be synchronized with each other. But another thing that impacts us, and that I'm very happy that we early on made a decision to not only sell as SaaS. We don't only sell a cloud service, a full-featured product. Here you go, you subscribe to this system that does it all. We actually offer an engine, so you can use parts of this within your own infrastructure. Or it doesn't have to be your own infrastructure, whichever infrastructure you want. So this is one of the things where, with MoQ emerging, it's very interesting for us to position as the vendor that we've done an implementation, and a company that wants to run a system using MoQ for a specific part of the workflow, they can use our engine to do that.
So that hybrid model that you're talking about, it's interesting because being in the industry now for over a quarter of a century, you see that swing back and forth from on-prem to cloud, or before we called it cloud, we called it other things. And that hybrid model that sits in the middle. So from your standpoint, you're saying there's flexibility to allow those kinds of hybrid models.
That's how we've built our own cloud service. We've built it on both on-prem and cloud resources, and we think it's only logical to do that. I remember one of our early conversations, actually, when we were in the NetInt booth and we were launching this AV1 support. It was together with NetInt. So we actually put their cards in our server racks, and that's how we delivered AV1 to viewers. Now it's more widespread, but we couldn't do that if we were relying only on cloud vendors, waiting for them to put it on the market.
Now, the other thing on MoQ, if I understand, it primarily been driven as a European standard and then has been adopted by the rest of the world. Is that sort of the first model of that? Because traditionally it would be large American companies going to large American companies and perhaps Asian companies going to the MPEG committee, going to ITU, etc. This seems to have almost been homegrown in Europe and is now moving to the rest of the world.
I'm actually not aware of those parts. I would say that our involvement in the SVTA has been instrumental for us. And we've also, we've been asked to participate with the team that is defining the standard. We also have to prioritize where we put our time, but we do appreciate the dynamic of being able to, because we're early adopters, so we can give input to how would we like to see things play out. And the SVTA connection has been very, very good. Now we see with the Open MoQ consortium backed by, it's Akamai, it's YouTube and many big companies, but also some European companies like CDN77, and you have Cinemedia in the mix there as well. So I would say at its current state, now that it's starting to gain traction, I would say it's very much a global movement.
So in closing, sort of a final question, you mentioned deciding where your priorities go, and you also mentioned that sort of MoQ as a whole covers a whole lot of things. So one of the things we found in the H264/dash/HLS model was very few companies wanted to implement the entire dash standard. So you ended up with dash 264, which was essentially a subset of dash as a whole, focused around that particular codec. Do you see that there's that kind of flexibility with MoQ as well?
Yes, for sure. We've because it's not finished, yet. We are actually currently using it as a transport protocol, but there are things that haven't been defined yet.
Okay.
There we have, because our solution has been so similar to what MoQ does, we have, we're using the parts that are not finished yet from what we've developed.
Okay.
So, but as the standard matures, we expect to conform to the decisions that are being made for an increasing number of components.
And the beauty too is with IATF and others involved, that move with HTTP3 to work with QUIC as well, or to actually have QUIC as part of its underlying. Then we also get the potential benefit of browser-based video that isn't just a dumb window. It actually has some underlying technologies that benefit video transport as well.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It definitely is. Daniel, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up hopefully between here and next Streaming Media. And we'll be right back with our next interview.